Hey everybody, and welcome. We're here to do a pre-draft show for FFIRL. I am your commissioner, Brent McKay, and of course my lovely assistant for yet another year, Chris
Ooh,
Osborn.
I got reelected?
Yeah, you
That's
won
a
it. You won it by default. Uh,
oh
no one
man.
else wants the position, so yeah,
Like
I
you get to
guess.
spend so much time with you on these videos. Why wouldn't anyone want this position?
Well, I mean, we'll keep this up for half the year, and then we'll stop.
We'll taper off and
Yeah,
yeah.
as things get more and more real.
You should come out earlier this year instead of just during ski season, and we can do an in-person fantasy football video. It'd be great.
Yeah, if I came out around Christmas, no, that's still too late in the season, right?
Yeah,
Because that's like week 16, week 17.
yeah, that is too late. We could do a recap video, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
All
We got
right.
time.
So our goals today are to talk about. There's been a lot of trades. Let's cover some of the trades about what it means for different teams, how they're posturing. We're going to talk about keepers. We'll do a little bit of analysis. We're planning on releasing this video tomorrow after the lock. That way, no one can change based on what we're
Yep.
saying here today. And then we're going to give a little look at the schedule and just our initial thoughts going forward on who's going to be in a position to win this year. So that being started, let's get started on trades. Let's start with the original trade. Let's start with the Osborn Gehringer trade. I'm going to pull it up here on GroupMe, just the details.
Okay. I've got this one memorized, I promise.
Do you?
Oh yeah, it's right here
I
in
don't
my
know if
heart.
I don't know if I actually posted it. I think I just yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I can talk to this one while you look to see if you can find it because I know you put it out there to everybody to see and potentially uh,
Yeah, I'm gonna
have
move.
an opinion on. But the main gist of it was that pick 2.1 was up for sale, and 2.1 being somebody that you could get a starter with, get maybe potentially a first round pick with, and and maybe even keep him next year. However, Gehringer was pretty adamant that he wanted to go for the W this year, so we got a little deep into the whole trade, and we ended up trading picks next year for this year. And I wasn't quite willing to give in. I wanted to at least have a shot at winning this year, so I wanted those early round those mid round picks that are at the beginning of the round, so I could possibly find some guys that could help me compete. So uh, you can basically see it. Gehringer's going for the big W this year. He threw the gauntlet down early. He's going to pull out Keenan Allen, 2.1, 1.1, and 1.10 to start the season off. I think he's got a really good opportunity to put up a lot of points that way, and then find good keepers for next year in those later round picks. My objective with 5 through 8 is to find players that I can try and win with this year and give myself a shot. Um, I'm pretty happy with how the trade worked out. I think it's going to go well for both of us. Uh, it's definitely was a fun one to start everything off with. A lot of fireworks early, and it looks like people took that gauntlet that Gehringer threw down and met the challenge with some of the trades that followed it.
Yeah, I don't know what Gehringer was thinking on this one. He he gave a lot. Um, like a one and a three, and he's moving up from a 5 to a 2. I mean, yeah, and you're getting value in between. I mean, I don't like this at all.
So I'll be honest with you. I threw the trade out to him. I wanted the value in between because it's really hard to pay $50 into a league, have $10 of keeper value or of weekly potential winnings, and not even have a chance at winning. I know that on the surface, by giving up my first 3 round picks, it looks like I'm not trying to win, but it's really, I'm surprised that some people are willing to completely punt into next year to just give up that opportunity to win this year is really tough for me. So I threw this trade out there basically saying to him, I'm not willing to throw away my season. And so that's where this really came into play. I do think that 1 and 3 next year is probably what the price would be if you're going off of no desire to win, no anything, and that those mid round values are bonus. And that bonus was the emotional aspect for me of just not wanting to quite give in yet.
Yeah. So I mean, it is what it is. It was a trade. We'll see how it plays out. Um, I,
Yeah, I mean,
I will say this: your perspective of trading your later picks for your later and your early picks for middle round picks, it reminds me a lot of an auction draft. Like waiting for the players who are, they're not stellar, but you're not ending up with a team where you have this kind of low end where your bench is bad. Like everything ends up in between. So maybe
yeah,
maybe it is something you can compete with this year. Who knows? Maybe that's something where next year looks a lot better.
yeah. We'll
But
see how it goes.
that being said, let's move to the next trade. And I believe the next one I'm looking at right here is Fogarty and Poorman.
Yeah, this one caught me off guard.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know the two were in play. These two people,
Yep.
and apparently they were behind our back. Just doing some big trades. So
Yeah. I think that it's surprising to see the trade executed the way that it is
there it
on the
is.
heels of my trade. I think that I think there's more going on with the trade rather than just the pure picks. I would have probably expected Foreman to pull just a little bit more, maybe a 1 and a 3 instead of a 2 and a 3 next year. But I think it helps both parties. Foreman wants to move into next year. He wants to try and do well there, and Fogarty just was like, fuck you, Gallagher. I'm coming at you. I'm coming at you with a first and a fourth. Let's go. So it set him up for some good success. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Poorman's definitely going in, and we'll see how it works out.
Yep.
Honestly, I got to tell you though, I'm a little surprised with Poorman, some of the decisions he's made thus far. I probably would have kept Fournette,
I would have kept Fournette, 100%, like
uh,
no doubt.
and I mean with Fournette and Hopkins being kept at 1 and 2,
Mm-hmm.
ahead of their ADP or behind their ADP, I feel like you have a good shot of making a run for it. So I was a little surprised with that. Obviously you're not going to have a lot of years to make these keepers.
Yeah.
Um, so this is a shot, and he passed on it. So we'll see how it works out for him.
Yeah, but I mean, just to throw context out there, I mean, he's moving, right? In a few weeks. He's got a new kid and he's got a new job. So if
Does he?
he's
I
deciding,
didn't know
yep.
all these things.
Oh yeah, so these are all things that are happening. Sorry, Poorman, didn't mean to just out you. Maybe we'll edit this part out. If not, congratulations. I'm sure that everyone's happy for you. I won't spill any more information. But with all
Wow.
that going on, it makes a lot more sense to move into next year.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I can see it. I can see it. All right. So the next one is the Fogarty Pippen trade. So
Okay.
Fogarty followed up his Poorman move with getting with his old buddy Pippen at a
Yeah.
bar and hashing out
He
some.
had to have been drunk when he did this one, right?
Well, I mean, I do have the first Fogarty trade. I understand.
Yep.
I understand it. This one I don't understand.
It doesn't make sense. Oh.
Uh,
Can I speak to this? I know I've talked a lot, but I'm a Cook fan, right? Can I talk to this one?
yeah, sure. Go for it.
Cook was hurt every year at Florida State. He tore his ACL like 4 weeks into his first pro season. He is the most overrated player in the draft this year, and you moved up to take him. I don't get it.
Well, not
I,
really. He moved back. He went from the 6th to the 11th, right?
yeah.
But he Adam Thielen, you have to admit, he has a good deal of value. Just
Oh,
just being able to keep him.
right.
He's what, a fourth rounder.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so
And
he did get Pippen 6. There was a good move up. I don't know if it's going to be worth it, especially. I mean, Dalvin Cook isn't worth the 2-3 where you were drafting.
no,
Uh, I don't think you got any value for him.
I agree completely. You could have gotten a guy better than Cook at that draft pick, anyways, and kept Thielen. So don't understand it, but
Yeah, I mean, it made sense for Pippen to keep him because he was drafting at 211, and I think that's a little behind where he was being drafted. But moving up to taking him at 2-3 is is a little different. So
Yeah, kudos to Pippen to get Thielen at the 11th round and be able to move that way. I think it's a great move.
yeah, that was a good move. So
Yep.
next, I want to cover a trade I made with Dalton. This is a pretty easy one.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I noticed that I was keeping Kenyon Drake with my 11th rounder, and I could have kept him with my 12th rounder. Unfortunately, Dalton had that pick, so I shot him a message, and he agreed to trade me my 12th back, and I would just give him my 11th. And next year, we're just going to switch 11th and 12th again, and we'll be done with it. So that was something nice that he did for me, and I'm sure later in the year I'll reciprocate or whatever. But uh,
So you're admitting to collusion? I'm just kidding. That's a great pick, a great trade. I think it works for both of you, especially next
yeah.
year. You guys will switch it. I think it's a good call.
And later I'll talk about Dalton and what I think of his team this year, but yeah, I think it was a good move for both of us.
I agree. I think it was smart.
All
Whoever
right.
gave you that idea is a smart person.
Yeah, whatever, man. So let's move on to McKay Osborn,
Okay.
the trade we made. This is also a pretty small trade comparatively to what else you've been doing. Uh, so I traded you for the 8-1
Yep.
uh, and the 9-10. So pretty much I'm trading my 7th and 10th for an 8th and a ninth you have.
Yep.
The 8th is obviously much pretty valuable.
Yep.
Um,
I
I
think it's the most valuable pick in the trade.
well, I mean 7-4 is more valuable. 8-1 is also pretty valuable. It's
I have
nice.
I have my reasons.
It's
Yeah.
nice to be at the front of the round.
Yep.
Um, there was, maybe I'm looking at someone that I don't want to pick it at the 7th. We'll see. We'll see. I
Yep.
just, uh, you know, I had to move. I had to move.
Yep. It's what led me to the trade with Shy, though. I value those early round picks this year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I'll let you talk a little bit about the Shy trade.
The Shy trade happened because McKay hit me up wanting my 8.1. I didn't want to give it up to him. I think he and I want the same player at 8.1. However, I figured if you were going to take this, there is value with 7.4. I'd at least reach out to somebody and maybe find a way to spread the value out, and that's kind of what I did. I took the trade with McKay based on an agreement with Shy that let me kind of spread out those picks and get earlier on picks in the later parts of the draft, and that's kind of how that came to fruition. I let him get a little earlier. He's got all his picks this year. It let him move up. It let him get a couple players that could help him win, and it let me target some of those mid to late round guys that might be worth it next year, that might not actually pan out this year. So I think it works for both Shy and I. He actually comes out ahead if you look at the rounds. He gets to move up a round basically per pick, but it lets me spread my draft capital out. So net negative for me in this year's wins. Hopefully, it works out for me next year.
Yeah, and the reason I do think it works out is that it's better for keepers, uh, what Osborne's getting, but it's better for value, what Shy's getting. So I think this is a very balanced trade, unlike some of the other Osborne trades. But that being
I
said,
didn't rip you off that bad, McKay. The 7.4 wasn't that valuable.
of course Osborne, of course. Uh, Next, we're gonna move on to keepers. So I have the board here, and we can we'll do this. We'll go to the
Okay.
keepers and talk about it this way.
Yep.
So let's just run through the list. You know what? Actually, I want to use Pippin's thing that he made. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was really nice. I really like it. I think it's very strong. I was a little surprised with some of the picks in his chart though, but it's very nice.
Yeah, I haven't updated it. I should update it, but I'm not going to. So, well, maybe this isn't such a good idea because they're so spread out. I guess I could sort by color.
Can you adjust it on the screen? Right now it's just showing the rounds, but not the
Oh,
players.
yeah. Let me fix that.
I think it's easy enough to read with the color. Just other than the people that are all white, it's pretty easy to tell where people are.
Just apply some filtering, and we will sort by color. That didn't do what I wanted it to.
No, it didn't. Oh, it was sorted by color on the left. Wait, we're computer nerds. We can do this.
Oh, I'm filtering. I need to sort. Uh, sort by color.
Can we bring the expert in?
Yeah,
Where's Pippin at? Or
nah,
Henshaw? Yeah.
Henshaw knows his Excel. All right, we'll come back to that.
Okay. Okay.
But
Uh,
yeah, my keepers, I'm keeping some guys. Like I don't have any big names. I have a lot of, I'm moving up a lot, but when you're moving from the last round to like, the sixth round or the seventh round, it's not always so cool. But
I think Kenyon Drake is very very strong at 12 for you, and I think Zach Ertz is strong for you.
yeah,
Um,
I'll agree. Those two I'm very happy with. Thompson, not so much. Tarek Cohen, not so much. Wentz, I think that long term it can be good, but this year,
yep,
coming off the injury, maybe not so much.
yep, I can agree with that.
All right, so next we have Gauntz, the Dallas Cowboys. He has
Okay.
Jimmy Garoppolo, Jamal Williams, Evan Ingram, Jacksonville Jaguars, Marquise Goodwin. He's bringing back the number one D, which I think the value is fine.
I
Um,
just don't agree with the order he kept things in. I agree with the keepers themselves, just not the order.
well, I kind of understand it. Jimmy Garoppolo is really young. He's a quarterback. They generally last longer. So I also put my quarterback in the last slot. His was 14th because he doesn't have a
Yep.
15th pick.
Yep.
Um,
I agree with the Jaguars being 12th. You're not going to keep him 2 years in a row if you're going to keep him.
yeah.
You and I just disagreed on the quarterback thing. I forgot we discussed that already. I understand where you're coming from. I guess I just saw Marquise Goodwin and Evan Ingram as the guys that I would put last, and I'd have probably put Garoppolo at 13. But I understand where you're coming from. You're right. Garoppolo could be good for years to come.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you get a Philip Rivers in the 15th or whatever, or the
Yeah.
14th, and that's just good value.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's see. Next team. I don't like this switching off thing. This is let me create a new tab.
Okay.
All right, next team's gonna be the Redskins. So the way this is gonna read, okay, because this is gonna be a
Yeah.
little different.
Oh yeah, this is
I
challenging.
I don't have any way to switch players on teams. So Dalvin Cook is going to show on Pippen's roster, and Adam Thielen is going to show on Fogarty's roster. The thing is that
You're going to change the pick they're kept at. So you're going to have Cook kept in the 11th round and Thielen kept in the second round, and they'll just switch them. Correct?
right, yeah. After the draft, I'm going to switch the two players. Since Fogarty's pick is in the second, he's gonna and I'll show you here. Here's the two. Here's the 2-3. Adam Thielen's being kept here.
Yep.
And 11 or what is it? 10 or 11? I forget where. There he is. That's 11 11 is where Dalvin Cook will be kept, or the Adam Thielen will be kept. After the draft, we'll switch, and everything will be fine.
What will ultimately happen for next year, because this can cause confusion, is McKay and I will keep track of these types of trades as we go through the league, so that Adam Thielen doesn't magically become a first the following year. Because every other player, if I was to,
I didn't think of that.
I did though, and I already wrote it down, and I got you.
Man, that's a
Yep.
good. That's a good point.
I got you. So we've got this covered, and we'll work it out throughout the season. Luckily, it only matters for players traded before the draft, and it looks like this will be the only instance of this year. So we'll probably have a minimal amount of bookkeeping to do over the course of the years. It shouldn't be an issue.
Well, because we're loading it into MFL, we can just load it the way we want. So we'll be fine this year. We'll see what happens next year.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna. I think there's a way to make MFL allow us to make trades during the offseason, but I got to
Okay.
look at it.
Okay.
Okay, next person's keepers. We have the Colts. The star of the keepers, Kamara.
He's special.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Saints fan. I love Kamara. He's small though. There is risk involved.
maybe long term, but
Yeah, no,
yeah,
Cook has no risk. Cook,
yeah,
Cook,
no,
Cook,
none,
Cook's
none.
Cook has no risk.
Uh, yeah, go ahead and finish his keepers, and then I have
Yeah, yeah.
thoughts on
Ju-
this. Yeah.
Juju, which is another good one, I think. What is he
Hmm.
like, a fourth or a fifth round?
Hmm.
Yeah, he's
Fourth. His ADP's four right now.
that's really good.
Yeah.
The Rams, and Corey Davis, uh, who is I think a seventh or eighth, but he's keeping
He's
him late, so it's good value.
he's an eighth rounder for Cook, and he's going in the sixth through eighth rounds in pick and draft. So I mean, I
Oh
think that's
yeah,
good. I think it's smart to just take a shot like that when
yeah.
you're not.
You know,
Yeah.
if you're getting value, you're getting value. You can't really
Yep. Yep.
get around that.
We're coming back to him though. We're coming back to the Colts later.
All right. The Oakland Raiders. He is keeping Todd Gurley with his first, which I do not blame him. He has the last pick in the first, so
Yep.
keeping the best player in the draft at the 12th pick is pretty good.
Yep. I agree.
Russell Wilson, he is keeping.
Hmm.
Let me scroll on over to this guy.
Hey
He's
Brent,
yeah.
since we're not releasing this till tomorrow and we're willing to change things, I just saw it now. I'm gonna bring it up to you. I think Robbie Anderson should be 15 and Marvin Jones should be 14. And I know
Why?
you're, and
Why
I
do you
say that
think
because
that?
Robbie Anderson was a rookie last year and Marvin Jones is like 30. So the player that's most likely to last longer is Robbie Anderson.
Marvin Jones is not 30. Okay, he's
Marvin
28.
Jones is 28. So he'll be
All right.
29 by the end of the season or at the end of the season. So
We'll talk to Dalton.
okay.
We'll get it
I
figured out.
wouldn't have. Yeah, I just saw it now. I would have brought it up earlier if I'd seen it.
All right. Yeah, but he has Robbie Anderson, Travis Kelsey, Marvin Jones. Kelsey's being kept in the third, which is good value. I think he's being drafted in the third or second.
Yep.
So last pick in the third is pretty good. And Robbie Anderson, Marvin Jones are both both good value.
Hmm. I agree.
I think
Uh,
he has another chance to run at it this year. I mean, keeping Gurley and Wilson is
and he
great.
has all his picks. So if he makes good picks with Jones and I think it's Jones and Anderson that let him take a shot at this
Yeah.
because he's got guys that can be wide receiver twos at the very end of the draft. So that gives him the value he needs. So
Yeah. And I hope he can make the draft. He mentioned to me that he's been really busy with work lately, so if we don't see him there, that's unfortunate. But I understand.
yeah,
He's in a busy career field now.
he's protecting our country as a one Bravo. So
Absolutely,
yep, can't say anything there.
absolutely. Operator AF.
Oh yeah, he is so cool.
All right, Texans.
Yep.
My old buddy Kimner.
Oh, Kemner.
Uh, I don't know if you saw Kimner. Your boys, Shires and Jenners, both made staff sergeant, so be sure to send them a
Hey,
little.
congratulate them. I'm not in the military anymore, so I haven't seen the staff listing.
Yeah.
Anybody else we know make it?
Back from Gunner, Marchand made it, and I don't know if you
Okay.
remember Smith, but Smith made
Yep.
it.
Okay.
So yeah, congratulations to them.
Yeah, that's awesome, guys. So the Texans, we didn't say anything about your team, but I cursed your name when I saw you Captain Joku. I was personally targeting him, so nice pick there. And I think Burkhead, while he has the mysterious torn knee, what an official injury title the Patriots gave him there. With his torn knee, I think is a good pick in the 15th. So, nothing's flashy, but I think they're all good picks.
Yeah, good value.
Yeah.
Kind of like me, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing too
Oh,
great.
Kenyon Drake in the 12th. Shut up.
All right. Let's be cool here.
He's going in the fourth or the third. Shut up.
So the Titans.
Yep.
Here we have Jerick McKinnon, which is a really good value where he's being drafted, being able to keep him where he is.
Yep.
And Robert Woods, which is a little more questionable.
I mean, he's going in the 8th by ADP. So
yeah, I think I looked at this and I tried to recommend a couple other players. He didn't want to go with that way. So Jerick McKinnon though is great. I hope it works out for him.
yeah, I think McKinnon's excellent. So that's good.
Yeah.
Hang on.
No, that's my house.
Oh, I muted mine. All right.
Sarah's cooking.
Oh, what's she making us?
I don't know. Fire.
Charge something.
Yeah. All right. So Fogarty. He's
All right.
keeping Josh Gordon, Dalvin Cook. You got to remember Dalvin Cook, and Matthew
Yep.
Stafford. Obviously, Josh Gordon in his last round is awesome.
Yep.
Maybe we'll see if he plays any games this year. Matthew Stafford
Hmm.
is legit.
Yeah. I
Uh,
wouldn't keep him in 12, but
I
he's.
would keep him at 12.
I don't know. I think there's going to be quarterbacks that either don't go drafted or are after the 12th round that put up the same points as Matthew Stafford by the end of the year.
I like I like not having to worry about it. Like
That's fair.
you
No,
know
that's fair.
you got ADP value.
Yep.
You know that he's locked in. You
Yep.
take it off the plate. If you need to
Yeah.
pick someone up, you can move it. All right. So yeah, Dalvin Cook's up here. That's his other
Yep.
keeper.
Yep.
Moving on to old Henny. He's keeping his boy Deshaun Watson. And I was looking, Devonte Adams and Stephon Diggs. He's getting some good value there, and they are very good wide receivers.
I completely agree. I think that's. I
Uh,
mean, that's going to be good possibly for a couple of years now.
I mean, yeah, he's keeping them in the
Fourth and fifth.
fourth and fifth. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if they
We'll
do
see.
do really well this year, I think Adams is being drafted in like the second, right?
He
Second or
is.
third.
He is. Yep. Adams
So
is being drafted in the second, and Diggs is being drafted in the third and fourth. So I mean,
yeah,
I think they're good picks. They're good picks.
definitely. Deshaun Watson. I I don't know, man. Those athletic type quarterbacks, I don't know.
So I expect Deshaun Watson to be a complete bust. He played better in the NFL last year than he ever did in college. He threw the ball better in the NFL than he ever did in college, and he was on pace to set like the world record of all time as a quarterback in his 4 games that he played. However, at the 15th round, if he is the real deal, that's a great keeper, right? Like if
Yeah.
he's actually legit, then
I mean, you can't argue with it. He's being drafted pretty high. Obviously, he has
too
this.
high.
He has the ceiling,
Yeah.
but we'll see how low that floor is too.
Yeah, I mean, if I was Henshaw, I'd probably be looking at another quarterback in the waiver wire post draft to be paying attention to at least.
Yeah, sure. Someone to compliment him.
Yeah.
All right, Kansas City Chiefs. Why are you keeping Ezekiel Elliott with the first overall pick? I do not understand that.
All right, this is my first problem that I have with the draft. Go ahead. Sorry, McKay.
There's
Sorry.
no point in locking anyone in with the first overall pick. Why would you do that? You're just limiting yourself. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah, you can draft him there if you want him. I
Yeah.
mean, what happens? I don't know. What happens if all the offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys just die tomorrow? Like,
Keenan Allen, good value.
yep,
Good
great
keeper.
value. Yeah.
Marlon Mack, it's fine. I'm not in love with Marlon Mack. Chris Carson is good.
Yep.
Austin Eckler. I don't know about that one. I think you had another player that I preferred keeping over him. I'm not 100% sure, but
I had someone that I liked for him over Eckler as well. I think Chris Carson's underrated as a keeper. I mean, according to the Seahawks, he's the starter. Like,
yeah, we'll see.
yeah, my biggest problem isn't that he might not be the starter. It's that they might do the same thing they've done since Lynch left, which is not have a starter. Like, you know, they got the rookie they like. They got a couple of guys on the bench they like. I don't know. I mean, I think it's entirely possible that they don't have a starter and they just cycle through. I think Josh Doxson's who I liked more than Eckler, by the way. The rookie or the guy that was a rookie last year for the Redskins.
Yeah.
But
So the last one is Portman. Portman is keeping 2 players. He's keeping Kyle Rudolph, which is fine,
yep.
and DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins. Now that you've traded away your first and your fourth to Fogarty, I mean, you've got to be looking to move him, right?
Maybe. I mean, I think you're going to want to hold him for a little while. Maybe you move him early. Your 2 choices are you hold him for a little while and see if he actually pans out, or you move him immediately. Because we talked about Deshaun Watson earlier. Deshaun Watson, what if he sucks? Like,
well, I mean, I think it's in your best interest to move him immediately because you don't want to see what's going on with that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to risk it.
Yeah, like that's the big thing is that I mean, if Deshaun Watson sucks, you're fucked.
And I mean, what's the highest a player like that's going to be drafted? You know, like Antonio Brown's being taken with the fifth pick in most leagues. Like, that's the ceiling, and Antonio Brown is already there. You know, where is he going to be?
The
So
ADP for DeAndre Hopkins right now is 110.
yeah, so I don't think he'll be drafted any higher than he's currently being drafted. I think the value is where it needs to be for you to trade him. So we'll see what he does. He's definitely got some things going over there.
Yep. I mean, Rudolph's a good keeper. I think that that's where he's being drafted. But if you want to keep him there, that's fine. Um, I would have kept Fournette. That's my number one thing I would have said with this right away. Is I'd have gone for the win with this team. I would have kept Fournette at 1, Hopkins at 2, and actually tried to win the league this year with this team if I was in those shoes. But
Yeah. So your team, I'm gonna let you take that one.
okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. I have Rob Gronkowski in the second. That's right at his ADP. Um, I think he's undervalued as a player. No, we'll move on from him though. Everyone knows who he is. I think I got really lucky with Alex Collins being a 15th rounder and Dion Lewis being a 14th. Alex Collins was a RB2 last year. Dion Lewis squeaked into RB1 and was the 12th running back in half PPR last year. On a new team, but he'll probably be an RB2 this year with the fact that Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray were able to be RB2s last year on the same team. So I could see him being an RB2 still. And then there's Derrick Henry, eighth round. I think that's where he should actually be drafted. I think he's overdrafted because there is too much of a risk that he is usurped by Dion Lewis. I think seventh, eighth round is actually where he should be. And so I get to keep him at what I think his actual value is, but there's a chance he's more than that and that he actually takes off. So pretty low risk, pretty high reward. Gives me a chance to compete this year, having 3 potential RB2s and the number 1 tight end, all on the same team before the drafting even starts. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at with my keepers. That's for sure.
Awesome. So we've kind of covered keepers. I'll go ahead and close those 2 tabs.
That's it. You're just an awesome. You don't love my lovely keepers there.
They're they're
you're
fine.
just jealous.
They're
You're just jealous.
they're okay. Next, we're going to move on to talking about the schedule, and I kind of wanted to show people
Okay.
what this was last year's schedule. Now, the one thing I want you to notice over here are the number of buys each week. You'll notice that last year I focused on making the divisional weeks the weeks where there are the least amount of buys. Unfortunately, last week I couldn't make it symmetrical. There was one game where you played with 2 buys on your team, but aside from that, the rest of them were 0. Uh, this year, in order to keep it symmetrical, you can see we have a lot more weeks with 2 here. We have keeper or division weeks being played in 4, 6, and 12.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll play each of your divisional opponents once with 2 buys, and the rest you'll play in week 1 or week 2, where there will be no divisional opponents, and 3 and 4, where there will be no divisional opponents. So the one player you play up here, you'll play down here.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
It's a little confusing, I think, for people that are listening. I think the gist of it, though, is that we're going to reduce the amount of bye weeks during divisional weeks. We're going to try and have the most amount of divisional play at the end where it's exciting, and we'll get you the official schedule as soon as possible.
Yeah. So I think what's on MFL is good. I've got to go over it one more time just to make sure everything is legit, but I do believe it is correct. So one last thing is power rankings.
Ooh, I'm excited for this.
So Osborn, I'll let you start with this.
So I'm going to have to say the top team going into this year is Cook with Kamara, right? I'm gonna go hard on this one. I'm gonna go Cook. I'm going to say the Indianapolis Colts have the best team because they got Corey Davis at value at 8. They got Juju Smith-Schuster at 15, and they got Alvin Kamara. So they've got a guaranteed flex player. If you look at the 2 wide receivers, that one of those 2 will work out as a flex player. They're going to be sitting back there in the late rounds. And you get Kamara in the 12th. You're able to target what you need early on. And if you have to move to more running back heavy because there's no wide receivers you like available, you can start Corey Davis as your flex with Juju as your second rounder, or I'm sorry, as your second wide receiver. I love what you're doing there. I will say though, I would keep McCaffrey in the second. Lock in 2 running backs, guaranteed. Let you pick best player available with your first pick, and go ahead and run forward with that team. But I think you're my number 1 team going into the season. Who do you got at number 1, McKay?
I don't know. Like, I have to say the trades that Gehringer and Fogarty have made have got to put them close, right?
Yeah. Since I don't know what they have yet, they're the top 2 for potential stars, right?
What?
Like they're gonna have the most star players, I guess I should
Oh,
say.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
they're going to be the most top heavy. They have the most first round picks. I think each of them has multiple like second or thirds, right?
yeah.
Uh, I think in Fogarty's case he has an extra fourth, not a second or third. So, yeah, I think they're both in really good position. I think they're kind of going to lead their divisions. Uh, I think Henshaw, the trade he did with you last year, puts him in a really good position.
That's true.
Uh, Pippen is keeping Hunt. I mean that's really good. I will say when I do a lot of mock drafts on Fantasy Pros, the players or the teams that I see always up at the top, uh, surprisingly, it's the Colts and the Titans. So for some reason, Shy's high in the pick order. He's
Yeah.
keeping Jerick McKinnon,
Yep.
and I see him up there a lot. I don't know what it is.
I think our division could be really tough. So it's got the Colts and the Titans that you keep seeing, like you just said. Um, we've got the Texans who could go for it if they wanted to. And then I'm going to make it nice and easy for everybody and hand a free 2 wins to those teams. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with our division. I think it's open though. I jokingly say I'm going to hand a free 2 wins to everybody. Part of me thinks I'm just going to go for the win anyways. And that's the cool thing about our league. I don't look at anybody, and I have the fewest draft picks in the top of the draft. I genuinely should have the least shot at winning this year, and I actually think anybody could win our league this year. Just looking at keepers and looking at the attrition that happens that year after year and the midseason moves and how much they matter. So
Yeah, so I do have to say this. The one thing that scares me about all these trades is that someone is going to move all in on one year. They're
mm-hmm.
going to win that year, and then they're going
Oh,
to just say no, I'm not playing again. And pretty much steal our money that one year. And we got to find someone else to play who wants to take this terrible team.
yeah.
How do you convince someone to do that? You know, I just
I don't have an answer for that. That's something you and I have to talk about offline. I have some ideas, but I don't like any of them.
yeah.
I think it's one where just for the league to know, that's what McKay and I will, when we look at trades every year and throughout the year, it's basically trying to not police whether you made a good or bad decision, but police whether you are being malicious with what your actions are. If you trade literally every pick you've got next year to win this year, that's going to be a major flag for us to be able to basically know that you're going to be around and deal with that shit year and not have to have a new owner come in. But luckily, I think we've got a lot of people that are committed. This league's been around for like 6 years. Most of the people have been in it for that long. People are pretty competitive. I don't anticipate it being a problem. That's just something that lingers in the back of my mind as well as yours, McKay, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to be fine. I mean, we all know each other. Obviously, we don't want
Yeah.
to. No one wants to do that to another.
Yeah.
So yeah, that being said, moving on to the AFC West, I think that I mean I'm playing. I don't know if I'm going to win, but I'm going to play. Obviously, the Chiefs are going to be tough to beat. The Chargers have kind of laid down, and Dalton is looking strong again. So it's going to be competitive. You kind of have that 3-1 again, you know?
Yeah. You guys have the toughest division, I think, from a roster standpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're a solid bunch. I think if
Yep.
Pippen or not Pippen, Portman had Portman moved in on Fournette and Hopkins, man, I have no idea what would be going on this year.
Yeah.
That division would be have four possible winners.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd be pulling, and you know what the sad part is, you might have the four. You might have four of like the six best teams, but you beat each other up, and there'd be no way for someone to make the wild card if all four of you were trying for that top spot. So it worked out well for the rest of the team
Yeah,
or the rest of the division that he bowed out a little.
yeah, I did. So I guess thanks for that, Portman. Moving on to the NFC East, we have Gotts, Fogarty, Hinshaw, and Pippen. I think Fogarty and Hinshaw are leading the way. But
Don't
nope.
sleep on Pippen.
No, yeah, I think Gantz and Pippen. I mean, obviously Gantz has all his picks.
Yep.
So we'll see how he does. I had a friend who picked, he just went Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley last year, and he couldn't lose. He could not lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you end up with two players like that, I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbeatable. Um, but yeah, I do think that those two teams are leading the way.
It's pretty balanced this year, I think. There are definitely some teams that have some weaker rosters, but the parity that I know a lot of people are worried about with keepers, especially like Kamara at 12, that everyone remembers pretty fun, like as a big deal. Some of the guys kept at 15. It looks pretty even across the board. It's pretty open, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I think even the teams that traded to get to those really high picks, I think they still have a chance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, I mean, like I said, I have the worst draft capital in the league, and I genuinely feel like I have a shot this year. So we'll see what happens, though.
I mean, like I said, you moved into a lot of middle round picks. Like
Yeah,
a team, I think it's okay. I think it's okay what you do.
yeah. Okay is a good way to put it, and okay might get it done in a competitive league where you're just trying to survive and deal with the attrition of injuries and players, being overdrafted and see what you can do. But we'll see how this goes. I'm excited for the year. I think I'm more excited for this year than I anticipated, even a few weeks ago. I like, I like this keeper aspect. I love the trade action everyone's bringing. Dude, I love that we're trading. Like, I love trades. I would trade every week if I could.
You very
So
well may.
yeah, I'm gonna try. So I'm very pumped. I'm excited for everybody. I don't really have any closing thoughts that I want to share before the draft, but I definitely am willing to and happy to have a video post draft if you're interested, McKay, where we kind of talk about the season and what's to come.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking actually we get together the weekend after.
Yep.
Although it's going to be tough for me because my grandparents are going to be in town.
Okay.
But
Bring them on the show. They know about fantasy football, right?
yeah, no, they don't. But yeah,
Neither did Sean or Cody last year.
that's very true.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, hey, this has been fun.
Yeah.
We look forward to seeing everybody at the draft. Hopefully.
Absolutely. Good luck to everybody.
Have fun.
Talk to you soon. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, later, guys.
Later.